But I'm Chris Andrews, CEO and co-founder for Scrunch AI. We started building the company about 18 months ago before AI web search was a thing. We observed that these models were really responding to consumers because they made life easier. Even when they were hallucinating and making things up, we kind of trusted them. Like, this thing gave me an answer. I did not have to do the work myself, and we all like ease. And so my observation was this is going to impact the customer journey at scale. So we started building about 18 months ago, really trying to understand how these models are working, and settled on a theme that the world is moving towards answers, not links. And my belief is that means the first thing outsourced at scale to AI is browsing. And we didn't even notice that we did it. Browsing, by its very definition, is inefficient. I am browsing the internet for the product, service, or information I'm looking for. I'm clicking through these different links. AI gave me an answer. And so I try to keep things pretty simple when I build businesses. I was like, this is a theme that's going to impact our marketing stack. If consumers are getting answers, that means they're going to move towards simplicity. And I think the bigger thing that means is the primary visitor to your website is no longer a human. And it might no longer be the Google crawler. It's AI crawlers trying to make sense of your content to get the answer back to the consumer, your target buyer. And I'm seeing this whether this is a B2B software decision or this is a B2C decision about a beauty brand or a retailer. It's happening really across the board. So our belief is the customer journey is changing. To back that up, we're really living in a new era of discovery. If I'd spoken to a marketer 25 years ago, they're like, yeah, we built a website. It's pretty cool. Humans are playing with it. When I speak to CMOs of the last 15 years, it's like we built a website literally for Google. If Google doesn't understand the website, my brand is irrelevant, whether that's paid, organic, maps, listings, you name it. I think we're moving into a world where if large language models don't understand your website, your brand has a risk of becoming irrelevant. And a quick tip, if I write something down, large language models like language. So when you start to think about what are they looking for, they're looking for the intent of the human query. Right? So we don't go to ChatGPT and say Lenovo. We don't go to ChatGPT and say, X beauty brand. We talk about what we're looking for. It's much more conversational. And so that's what they're prioritizing. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Just to get people interacting. Has anybody ever Googled for a recipe? Hands up. Anybody Googled for a recipe on the internet? Delightful experience. This is what the optimized internet looks like. If you've Googled for a recipe of late, you get 3 videos. You get a life story about how someone went through the ups and downs, and then you literally can't find the ingredients for the recipe, right? Like, this is the gift. Like, where are my ingredients for my sourdough pizza? Like, I literally cannot find it. It's maddening. So round of applause to all of us marketers. We did it. This is the optimized internet. So like, we deserve what is coming our direction. What's coming our direction is an answer. Like, you ask the exact same question in ChatGPT, and like literally I exhale. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's the ingredients. So if your hands are covered in flour, you're like, I can actually do this. Maybe it even talks to you. Like, why are people moving this? Customers move towards simplicity. If I was going to build a business, I want to build something simple, and that is my core belief. So now you get all the outlandish statements from people like me. We raised a $4 million round of funding. We're hiring a team. We've been building for a year, and everyone's like, SEO is dead. Everything is over. I couldn't disagree further. I think SEO is the foundation for the internet. Like, you still need to find the content, but SEO is significantly evolving, and AI has permanently changed the customer journey. If the customer journey no longer involves someone going to your website, navigating your content, going to your competitor's site, navigating their content, and then making a decision, and cookies are following them around the internet, great name for what that does, all of that's going away. And that's the thing that should excite us from an opportunity perspective and also concern us from how do we retain control of that customer journey. So Lindsay spoke a little bit about kind of the impact in AI overviews. We've been kind of monitoring AI overviews, GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Meta, Grok, you name it. There's almost 2 billion unique monthly users using AI search. So like, this is no longer like, oh, there's like a few people doing this. This is active people monthly using this as their preferred search tool. And so when people are like GEO, AIO, I don't care what the acronym is. I think all of search is going to be AI search. Google is cannibalizing itself because it has to, and they will stay relevant. They are the dominant player. But all of these new entrants are gaining significant market share, and things are fragmenting. And so when people are like, is it happening? It is. If we want to credit the experts, Gartner, who's probably struggling with traffic on their own site, is predicting a 50% drop off in organic search traffic, so everybody's freaking out about it. So the question is, if there's 1 billion people coming up on 2 billion using AI search, is my brand showing up? And to educate me, anybody monitoring it today? I'm curious, how many people have an active way to monitor your presence across these models, how much traffic you're getting from them? Any hands in the air? We got 1, 2, very cool. So some people are doing it. So it's early, right? If I'd asked maybe 6 months ago, maybe you wouldn't have. This is the opportunity to start paying attention to what's happening in this shift. So a little bit of education. First thing I would encourage brands to do is go look at the data. Don't estimate volumes. Don't go try to guess how much stuff is happening. You can go to your weblogs, talk to your IT team, and find out how frequently these AI agents and crawlers are hitting your website. You're not going to see it in GA, you're going to see it in your weblogs. And the first thing you should look at is there's 2 different agents I want to keep an eye on. There's the trained-in model agents. So bear with me. If you used GPT 15 months ago, it was always 6 months out of date, right? They're like, hey, warning, this data's like 1 or 2 years old. We're educating ourselves. You can see how frequently the model trainers, Claude model trainer, OpenAI model trainer, Meta model trainer, they're going to hit your website if you allow them once or twice a year, update their corpus of data, and that's their truth about your brand. My customers are realizing that their brand is no longer what they say it is. Their brand is what AI overviews say their brand is. Their brand is what GPT says their brand is. So you can spend millions on your brand identity. If the models don't understand it, you're getting disintermediated. So these model trainers are actively hitting your website. I can promise if you haven't blocked them, they are crawling everything you give them. Now, even more important are these new on-demand web search agents. These folks are hitting your website daily. Every time there's a new web search that kicks off a GPT search, it's going to your site, downloading your content in real time, and trying to use your content as a source and cite you. That's what's happening behind the scenes, and most importantly, you can see it in your weblogs occurring. So my thesis is in a world running on AI, the most important visitor to your website is not going to be a human. I've already outsourced it. And just very simply, I've outsourced it to AI overviews. What do you think is powering AI overviews? It's your content. Your content is powering AI overviews. The Gemini tools from Google are crawling the internet and deciding what to source, how to answer it, and what to cite. And so we need to think about a new audience to entertain. Let's keep the bots happy. That's what I'd be thinking about. So just kind of quick steps. I will say the logos in here are just kind of randomly grabbed. GPT's first source is ideally your website. Ideally, it's going to your website. And I would not encourage you to block it, because if you have a product or service to sell, you want them to access your content. We frequently find brands that are still blocking them, because 2 years ago they were told AI is scary, block the bots. And why are they not showing up in AI search? Is because you're not allowing it to crawl your page. So the first thing we do with our customers is test that. The next thing it's going to do is gone are the days of it just looking at your brand identity. It's going to look at your competitor. It's going to look at third party. It's going to aggregate the internet and synthesize sources to say, this is our best understanding of this product, service, category. Whatever it is, it's trying to use 5 to 10 different sources to answer a question. This is really important to pay attention to. So the question of are you on Reddit? Are you on Quora? Are you on G2 Reviews? How's your website? If you're not showing up across these places, you're less and less likely to get the impression and ultimately get the referral. So at Scrunch, we're helping companies optimize for the AI customer journey. We came out of stealth mode in November. We've signed about 30 enterprises in the last 3 months as we've been building. And it's everybody from Fortune 500 brands like a Lenovo, to a Penn State University, to top 10 banks, to beauty brands. We're under NDA with most of our customers. Those are ones we can publicly cite. But everybody is trying to address this question of what is happening to my traffic, and how do I think about AI as a first-class citizen on my site? So we've really had 3 themes. Let's monitor it and show you what's happening to your brand today. Let's automate the insights and improvements to fill the gaps for where you're not evident. But the third critical layer is an infrastructure layer. Let's help manage and work with these agents and crawlers that are trying to get content to answer the question where you are appropriate. So an infrastructure layer to manage activities between crawlers, agents, and ultimately your consumer. So I'm going to flip through a couple little quick product slides. I have time for questions at the end for sure. By design. So the first thing we do with our customers is a comprehensive site audit. We grab your website, we run it through our platform, and we show you what is happening when the ChatGPT crawler hits your website. Can it understand your site? Right now, across the board, AI crawlers cannot read JavaScript. So if you've made your website beautiful and super interactive, but there's not enough unstructured text, there's not enough language on the site that explains clearly what you're doing, we are watching this pattern of GPT, Gemini, et cetera, skipping your content, going to the next site, going to the third party to try to answer the question. So you need to think about making sure what you want represented back to the model is on the site in a way that it can access it. So the first thing we do is at scale, run through your sitemap, understand if your content's even accessible. We've done this at scale, and there's a huge problem out there. Like greater than 70% of websites across the Fortune 1000 have significant problems in how AI is able to interpret what the brand, product, and service actually is. Very, very simple things, they're fixable, and that's the first step we take with our customer base. The next thing we show, and again, grab Levi's because they show up positively. Wanted to show someone that is not going to be pushed down in a demo. But the first thing we do is we just show you how are you showing up in these models. So we start looking across GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, AI overviews and say, okay, for the topics and themes and things that matter to you, you are showing up X% of the time compared to your competitors. Here's where you're positioned in these search results. Here's the sentiment towards your brand. Then we start digging into the prompts themselves. So we filter by stage of the customer journey. We say, okay, this is an awareness stage prompt. They're not asking about Levi's. They're asking about back to school specials. They're asking about discounts in their local area. Is Levi's showing up? Am I able to find it? And what are the websites that are influencing this search result? So we take a look at the actual GPT result. We see, okay, it looked at the Levi's back to school page. It looked at the GQ, .com/fall 2025, where it reviewed Levi's and Wranglers, and you see all of the sources that go into generating this answer. So very granular prompt visibility across all the models, and we do that by persona. Something else I'd encourage you to think about is gone are the days of kind of generic search. The models have memory. The models are disrupting word of mouth in a way. When I ask a question of GPT, I get different results from a peer of mine in New York City, from my mom in New Hampshire, because the memory is like, okay, she's a school teacher. She raised 6 kids. This is her son. He's building a tech company. Like, give me different answers based on my expertise. And so we help companies define personas and say, everybody's getting different results, but these are the 5 personas you typically sell to. Let's show you what they're seeing in the AI results. Then we start to show how are you showing up in these answers by mapping all of the sources that are impactful when AI is creating the results. So we look at these are your websites that are being used. This is the actual content that is being cited by the model. But hey, there's a bunch of third-party and competitive content that's also being used. So if you're not present on those sites, you're not present in a positive way, maybe you're not showing up the way you would like to be. So we start with monitoring, we dig into those sources and show what is actually fueling the answers. Then we start to show all the gaps that can be closed of, okay, here are the themes where you're not showing up. Here's the content that can be generated to address that gap, get it live on the site, get it in a crawlable fashion. If we keep going, then we start to group all of these things by themes. We're like, okay, if you're thinking about pricing or product descriptions, like timeless things that you want to have accurate about your brand, we start to show you across in aggregate, what does GPT say the price of your item is? Well, GPT is going to look at everything you say about pricing on your website. So if you have conflicting data about pricing because you have an old, outdated page, or you have a conference page that had a promo on it, imagine the model trying to make sense of what the price of your item is because they're out on the internet looking at your content and third-party content. And so we help map that to say, hey, maybe you want to deprecate these pages or not let the agents crawl this portion of your website because it's actually generating confusing answers on pricing, product descriptions, customer reviews, et cetera. So all of this is literally automated in the product. Like when you come into the platform, I just take your brand name, we generate personas, we generate competitors, we start showing in real time all these results. You come in and you're like, okay, let me start customizing the things I want to know a little bit more deeply about. So we really try to get a running start to help you understand what's occurring across the platform. There was a lot of discussion about kind of AI visitors and the drop in Google traffic, and it's happening, right? We're seeing it across the board. We had a customer on board that said they were seeing a 10% decline in Google traffic quarterly. Their primary audience was people under 25. They were just like, these folks are just using AI models. I interviewed a whole bunch of Berkeley students as I was starting the company, and they estimated that half of the graduating class was paying $20 a month for GPT. Get a college student to pay for access to something that is free, you know something's happening, and they're like, 99% of us are not using Google anymore. Like the shift is occurring really, really quickly. And so what we're seeing with our customers is we're tracking for them how much referral traffic they're getting. You can see, this is how many visitors I got from GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, et cetera. And critically, let's follow it through. Now that they're on your site, let's show conversion. And the two things we're seeing across the 30 plus customers we're working with is on average, they're seeing a 40 to 50% increase month over month in AI referral traffic. So compounding, just 50% a month, starting from small numbers about 6 months ago, going up 50% a month. And critically, it is the #1 converting source of visitors. The reason why, I've done all my research in GPT by the time I'm clicking on your website to engage with you. And I was just on the phone with the CMO of a large bank. They were describing their purchase process to pick a new credit card. They said the last time they picked a credit card, they called their 2 friends, they built a spreadsheet on points and fees, they read 4 blogs. They're like, this time I went to GPT. GPT knew I was a banking exec, knew I didn't care about the high fee, knew I wanted to optimize for restaurants based on all of my searches, recommended 3 cards, I asked 1 clarifying question, and then I clicked and applied. They're like, the first time I went to a website, I was applying for the credit card. That changes the customer journey, right? And all of these models need to commercialize. They're gonna give you ads, they're gonna give you volume. They have to make money, but you can track it today. Like if you come into our platform, set up a demo tomorrow, we'll show you what this looks like for you. It's 1-click connect to your GA. It's a pretty simple environment to show what is happening from a referral standpoint. My last slide, then we'll open it up for questions. I already hit some of these case studies, but what's happening in the customer journey is people that are investing in it are seeing a real high increase in referral traffic. We systematically work through this with our clients, starting with the site audit, making sure the right content is accessible to clients. We think about optimizing third-party content. We had a customer that basically looked at the top 10 third-party sources that were most frequently cited and reached out and formed relationships with those third-party content providers and said, hey, this is my brand, whether it's pay to play or it's friendly, let's get me on these sources. And they were one that would like quadrupled their AI search traffic by playing nicely with the third parties that are heavily prioritized by the models. So very systematic outreach to say, this is what I need to do to be effective. And then the content generation side, it's identifying what those gaps are. What are the things you want to be known for? Are you present? Yes or no? Fill the gap. That's kind of the shift that we're seeing. So this will book a meeting. That's why we come to these things. Would love to make sure you leave with some education on what's happening in the shift. But would also love to run you through a demo for your brand. When you set up time with us, we'll literally have this environment that I just showed you screenshots of for your company. So we set that up in about an hour. We get a meeting going. We'll show you exactly how you're standing in all of these AI search platforms, and then show you actual referral traffic. So that's kind of what we've been building over the last 18 months. And then over the last 6 months, been live in public with it. So it's a fun time to be figuring it out. But if I were to really distill it and simplify it, the core things I'd try to remember is that the customer journey has changed. Everybody's gonna make up new acronyms about search. I think if consumers move towards simplicity, we need to remember they're getting answers instead of browsing. If that's true, who's browsing? If it's a crawler, it's an agent, it's a bot, what do we need to do to resonate with them? Like I think you can distill AI down into 2 very simple principles and maintain control of the brand in the customer journey. So love to take some questions since I just monologued for 15 minutes.
Like this video? We've got loads more on demand. To access all previous event recordings, become a member. When you join, you also get access to more resources, templates, and inspiration from other marketing leaders and CMOs. If you do want to catch us live though, why not join us at our next event? Simply head to the link in the description to see where we're headed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.